I embellish, mentally I nourish. Resuscitate a mind state that has perished. We shall inherit his blood and require back.
Alright, yes. Oh, hang on. Oh yeah, I just pressed the record button, something weird happened. No, it's alright now. Cool.
It says Ed is recording the call. That's when you know it gets serious.
yeah. No, because I just saw the record button there and I was like,
I've got that little red dot at the top of my screen,
yeah.
So it feels like it could detonate at any moment.
Cool. Alright, so yeah, let's I guess start off with I guess with your background, because where did you start off with this anyway, with the Daygame and getting into it and everything?
I started the 4th of July 2020, marks in the calendar, American Independence Day, the day that I started doing this unorthodox activity. So just over a year ago now.
Yeah.
I mean, my motivation for getting involved in it was I just wanted to try something like different. I've always been attracted to the more obscure side of life. Like, I was a magician for 10 years before getting involved in this. And then I kind of felt like the transition was quite natural. I've been cold approaching people for a long time, albeit it being like for magic purposes. But I was like, I saw videos of guys doing it, and I was like, John, mate, I could probably do that. So I went out, started doing it, and then just managed to get good quite quickly, in my opinion. And then, it was just an enjoyable thing to do. I've enjoyed doing it for the year, and it's been the best year of my life in terms of personal growth.
Because I've seen some of your videos, and to me, you come across as someone who's been doing it like for a really, really long time, and so it's quite surprising that you've only been doing it for like a year and a bit. So that for me is really quite surprising, because a lot of guys, to get to like your level, takes years and years and years. But I guess for you, I mean, you have had that background where you've done a bit of interacting with people through magic or whatever else, and that can massively help. Because I always think, like, with Daygame, whatever it is, if you really boil it down, it's just talking to people and just expressing yourself. If you could do that in another avenue, whether it's through magic or some people work in sales and they can get good in that way, or they do public speaking, whatever it is, that can massively help, and it is an advantage, and what it does is, I think it just kind of like speeds up the process to get good at it, but anyone can do Daygame. Some people sort of think, oh well, he's had this fortunate upbringing of being able to do sales or magic or whatever it is, but actually anyone can do it. It just means that some people are able to do it a bit quicker than others.
Definitely. It always pisses me off when people say things like, "Oh, it's easy for you because you're confident," and it's like, hang on a minute, fella, you weren't there when I was a scared teenager going around parks asking strangers for magic. Like, none of this stuff happens by luck; it happens by design. Like, I was just a very incompetent person growing up. Like, I had zero social skills, as I think so many of us do. But I think I took it very personal. I was like, shit, if I don't sort this out early, I'm going to be like this forever. Like, literally have no friends, not be able to interact with the world around me. I just felt like what I did during those formative years would reflect on what I'm doing now. So yeah, I think that's like the biggest takeaway for me is, like, you can't just see someone's end game and compare it to your beginning, because everyone's journey is so different. And just because I've been doing magic for 10 years doesn't mean that you can't make progress. You don't have to do magic to get good at this. You just have to be dedicated. I think that's the key. Just be dedicated, and appreciate the small victories. It's dead easy to just get too far out of yourself when you're comparing yourself to other people. It's like,
I think that's the key point there. Like, comparing yourself to others is really, really detrimental for other people, because for some people it motivates them. It's like, oh, I see this guy doing it, I reckon I could give it a go as well. So for some people it's great, but for others it's just so detrimental, because it's just going to be like, make them feel inadequate, or but just because they're at a certain stage, whatever that is, they're not quite at that level, they can get there eventually. It's just a question of time, really. And then
why did you get started in this?
Well, for me, I started quite late, so I was about 24, 25 when I got into it, I think, and I just felt like I was missing out. I always felt like, I didn't really know how it works in terms of getting a girlfriend, or dating girls. I was just completely fucking clueless about it. I kind of always assumed it was done through like social circles or a bit of Tinder or whatever, but I always knew it was fucking shit, and I was always looking for like another way. And then I discovered, Daygamers on YouTube from back in like 2014, 2015. And then, that kind of just inspired me. I was also a bit lucky as well, in the sense that before doing Daygame, I was making like a few prank videos. And so that kind of was a much easier transition compared to like most people. Because obviously most people, they get into Daygame, just Daygame basically. But for me, I was already doing like weird shit in public, like weird interactions, funny interactions with people. And so actually to do Daygame was actually almost like toned down a little bit because of the craziest shit I was doing before that.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's as well. It's like when you get involved in it, you need to do other shit as well, don't you? Like to get great at Daygame, you can't just be doing Daygame, otherwise you just become a fucking Daygamer. And I think it's like you should do Daygame, right? That's great. I think it's a great life skill to have, but don't become a Daygamer. Don't make it your whole reason for being. I think those days have gone. I think it's like, if you're with a girl, just like, what do you do in your life? Well, I make Daygame videos, talk to girls, do Daygame. It's like, it's just a bit fucking sad, really, isn't it? So I actually think it helps on other outlets. And then you're not as like, you just don't really care as much, but like not care as much in a good way. Because if it's your whole reason for being, then I feel like you take it a bit too far, and it just becomes a bit like of like a chore, and like
exactly
revolves around it. It just gets a bit fucking sad.
It does, and I think like it can be, some guys when they dedicate too much time into it, they get way too obsessive about it, and their entire life revolves around Daygame, when really it should be the other way around. Daygame should just be a part of your life. Obviously when you're learning and you're at the beginning stages, you do need to put in more time and effort. But once you get to a certain level, whether that's intermediate or whatever, I think it should just be a part of your life, and it shouldn't be something that your life revolves around. Like, so I've known guys who have done Daygame like every single day for hours on end, and it's just too much. It's just too much. It gets to a point where it's just too much, really. It gets just too obsessive and stuff,
But you started traveling with yours, haven't you? Like, is that like relatively new? Was that always on the cards for you? Or like,
I've always wanted to travel. I mean, I love to travel in general. I just like experiencing new cultures, new environments and stuff. And obviously tied in with Daygame and coaching, it's pretty good because for me personally, London was getting a bit boring in terms of Daygame, and also, especially with COVID, it doesn't quite feel as good as it used to be, especially in London and in the UK in general. That's not to say that it can't be done, etc. Obviously, it still can be done, and you can still have great experiences. But I feel like just doing it abroad is just so much more enriching. And I mean, it basically comes down to the fact that obviously you're experiencing new stuff abroad, new cultures, new stuff, new experiences. But also, I find the girls more attractive abroad in general. Anyway, when you go to places like Ukraine, Latin America, the girls are generally more feminine. They're more attractive. And they're more open-minded, more friendly. Just all the stuff you really want from Daygame, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting because I started last year. Like, I've not gone anywhere like abroad with this, so I've always set my sights predominantly for this year in the UK. So I've been to like over a dozen cities in this country, or like other parts like Wales, Scotland, whatever. But I mean, I remember taking my first like solo trip to London, and everyone, there was like this stigma attached to it where it's like, oh, London is really difficult, like you've come from, because I started in Leeds, people were like, oh, if you go to London, they're gonna eat you alive and stuff. But what I find is like, no city is like good or bad in my opinion. It's like it's you. It's all down to you. Like I've known guys who go to Manchester and say Manchester's shit. I think Manchester's great, but like I never brandish a city as shit just because you don't get results there. Like it's not the city in my opinion, it's you. But I don't know how you found it going around places where like maybe guys have been like, oh, it's difficult there, You know, I just think it's down to the person, not the city.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, you know, London is kind of difficult, but the thing is, everywhere has its own little nuances and advantages and disadvantages. So you take London, for example. I would say that in general, the people are probably less friendly than up north, but the advantage is there's more people. So with more people means there's more opportunities, there's more approaches you can do, and if you and there's more opportunity, you know, to play the numbers game in terms of finding that right girl at right time, right place, etc., who is going to be friendly and who's going to be into you. So that's the good thing about London. Whereas you go somewhere like, okay, Manchester's still quite big, but maybe Leeds is a bit smaller, and yeah, it's in that sense it can be more difficult. But then maybe in Leeds or up north they're more friendly. So that can definitely make it easier as well. So I think everywhere just has its advantage and disadvantage. I mean, you know, even in Ukraine, for example, I know I'm always banging on about how great it is here, but it can be really, really tough here in Ukraine as well, because, you know, the girls are like, normally they're really conservative, and, you know, they're not like sexually liberal like in some other countries, like compare it to like Latin America, for example. And also there's a massive language barrier here, and so like at least 2/3 of the girls that you approach is just never going to go anywhere just straight off the bat, just because of the language barrier. So everywhere has its advantages and disadvantages. Like, but obviously, you know, one of the advantages of Ukraine is that the girls are extremely attractive, probably the best in the world, but it's not without its difficulties. And so that's the thing, you know, everyone just has to kind of put things into perspective, I think, and just realize that, you know, just take what you've got and think that there's always worse places, you know, even if you're living in like fucking, I don't know, Scunthorpe or something, there's worse places in the world, you know.
I'm not sure about a bit of Scunthorpe, but fuck me, man, it's not the most attractive places.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. That would actually be quite a good video, to be fair. Daygame is
I wouldn't mind doing that, you know, like just going up to some random ass town like in the UK and just trying to like to stay there for a couple of days and just see what can happen.
We should do Scunthorpe, Grimsby and Wrexham. If you still have your legs by the end of that, then that would be a great video, man. And I think you'd get celebrated all over the Daygame community for going to those places.
Yeah. Might have to lower the standards a little bit, but that's cool, that's fine. I'm up for that.
Yeah, just forget that you're in Ukraine, and when you go to Wrexham, man, like your life will be changed for the worse.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, like, what other place in the UK have you actually been to test your skills?
So I've done quite a few like coaching sessions around the country now. So I've been to like Bristol, Coventry, Brighton, Manchester, Leeds. So I've done it in quite a few different places, and I've seen, you know, clients doing it in different places. I think, from what I've noticed, in general, people are a little bit easier to speak to outside of London. But the good thing about London is that there's way more approaches you can do in like a shorter period of time. Whereas if you go to other places, there isn't at that same level of quantity. There are going to be times when you're walking around for like 5-10 minutes not doing any approaches because there's just no one really to approach. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing that I've found. But yeah, I'd say like the cities in general, the pace of life is definitely slower than in London. In London, you do need to have, I think you need to do a better front stop when they're walking, because, you know, the pace of life is just quicker and people are generally more in a rush. Which makes sense because it's a capital city, and it's like that in every country. Like the capital cities, the people are always walking faster. They're just busier in general, so that's just one of the things, really. Having said that, where I am right now in Ukraine, I'm in this part of Ukraine it's a city called Odessa, but there's a part of the city called Arcadia, which is like. There's like two hotspots in this city. So there's like the city center, which is just like a normal city center, and then there's Arcadia, which is kind of like a more touristy, kind of like a fun sort of place where people come to like hang out in bars. There's a few like amusement rides and stuff, and there's some beach clubs, and everyone's kind of walking kind of slow. You do get the odd fast walking people, but generally speaking, just where people just come to chill out and stuff. But myself and the clients over the past few weeks, we've been getting loads and loads of blowouts actually, which is kind of strange in one sense, because generally speaking, when a place is more chilled out, you're going to expect less blowouts. You're going to expect more people, easier to speak to people. But here, for some reason, not quite sure why, but people are. It's been a bit tricky, especially compared to last year, because I'd say last year as well. But generally speaking, I'd say that generally, when the pace of life is faster, you do tend to find more blowouts, and they are a bit more difficult to stop, etc.
How, your clients, are they based in Ukraine, or do they come from different parts of the world?
Different parts of the world actually. Got a couple of Swedish guys, Turkish guy, few Turkish guys actually, and then they've come from different parts really. Yeah,
I find that great. I find that in terms of the power of the internet, people can just find you, watch your videos, and be like, I like this guy, I'd like to work with him. I think it's just a world of opportunity now, and I think it's great. When I started making YouTube videos, I didn't really expect anything to take off for a while, but I think because we work in a very niche industry, and there isn't that many guys, especially in the UK, who are actually doing it and putting videos out consistently, that you do get noticed, and if your videos are actually good, then people do pay attention to them.
And that's the thing, you say it's a niche, and I agree with you, it's definitely a niche, because Daygame, the reason why it's so niche is because the barriers to entry are pretty high, because you have to have a pair of bollocks, which obviously most people don't have, and you need to have that self-determination to overcome all the obstacles that you're going to get, and it's not easy to get into it. So in that sense, it's super niche. But on the other hand, it's ultimately sex sells, right? And everyone's interested in this kind of thing. The amount of single guys out there who maybe they know about Daygame, maybe they don't know about it, but they would 100% benefit from it. It's massive, absolutely massive. It's one of those things which I've always I've spent quite a bit of time thinking about this. If the industry did get bigger, how would that affect things? Would it get to a point where loads of hot girls are getting approached all the time? That would be unsustainable. I don't think that would ever happen. In theory, it certainly could, but in reality, you look at the majority of guys out there, a lot of them can't even have a conversation with families. There's no way that it would ever get to that point where it's so big, because it just means the majority of guys don't have the balls to do it. So I don't think that would ever, personally anyway, I don't think that would actually ever become a reality unless every guy grew a set of balls. I don't think that's going to happen. It could happen, but it's probably not going to happen. I agree with you.
It could definitely happen in in a theoretical world, but in reality, no fucking chance. Out of 1 million people who become aware of Daygame, I reckon 3 of them actually do something with it and stick with it. I just don't think it is for me. It is for everyone, but not everyone's going to fucking do it, and that's just what it is. The people who do decide to dedicate themselves to it, those are the people who actually get to enjoy the riches. And the rest of them just sit on the sidelines and think, oh, it's fake, they're all actresses. We're not actually doing this.
Or they're just oh no, it's too hard, it's too much effort, I'll just stick to Tinder or whatever.
Yeah, and that's just soul destroying itself anyway, isn't it? Because it's convenient, but it's if you go to a supermarket that's 5 yards away from you, but its food is shit, you're going to get pissed off at some point, man. So I feel while you're young as well, you're only young once, so you might as well make the most of your youth and just enjoy yourself, experiment with stuff, because I think people just take it too seriously, to be honest.
My stance on Tinder is that it's shit. It's definitely shit. There's no denying that. But if it kind of works for you, then carry on with it, but don't make it your primary tool. Definitely Daygame's the way to go. If you're taking a shit, or you're waiting in line at the supermarket, or waiting for a bus or something, you can, why not hop on Tinder for a bit, but don't take it seriously. Don't have it as your primary source of finding girls. It's never gonna yield very good results, especially in the UK. It's so shit in the UK. You know, if you do it in other countries abroad, it's definitely better. It's still shit abroad as well, but it's definitely better than the UK. The UK is absolutely fucking awful for Tinder and dating apps in general.
Yeah, the UK is like raging diarrhea, but abroad it's like you've got like some solid shits there.
Yeah. I mean, I've only dabbled a bit in it a little bit. I remember like last year in Ukraine. There's this one app called Badoo. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but yeah, it's called Badoo, and I did actually manage to get like 2 or 3 extremely hot girls out on dates last year in Ukraine from that app. This year I've dabbled on it a bit, and it's going to be a complete waste of time. So it is extremely hit and miss even abroad. But yeah, you know, generally speaking, I wouldn't put much emphasis on it. Better just to have it as maybe another string to your bow, but don't rely on it, I would say.
Yeah, I guess it's like setting up multiple streams of income, isn't it? You know, online dating can become your passive income if you want to use it. But whenever I've dabbled in it in the past, like when I was at uni and stuff, it just felt fucking boring. Do you know what I mean? And it's like the app is designed for the woman, so she like the girls have got all the power on the app. You just feel like some like supplicating nonce, and don't know, man. And then if you do get a girl out, oftentimes the pictures are better than she is.
That's
just like I got catfish, man. So don't know. I just don't feel like it's worth your time, to be honest. And I feel like these days, like you have to pay for them anyway to actually for the algorithm to actually favour you.
Yeah, I feel that's true.
How much money do you want to fucking burn? You better have to get a coaching session with someone who actually knows what they're doing, and you know that shit adds up, man. So
definitely.
It's your life. Do what you want, but for me, it's just a waste of your time.
Yeah, that's actually a good point though. The amount of I think like to actually get like matches and stuff, I do feel like you have to pay for it. I'm not exactly sure how the algorithm works, but yeah, I feel like you do need to be investing money on it to actually get, you know, results out of it. Which you're right, you could just, you know, do a coaching session and benefit far more long term than investing in like Tinder and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. It's like, all right, what's going to get me results? Like, okay, I understand that, but it's like, what's actually going to make you feel fucking fulfilled as well? Because, you know, obviously we all get involved in this because we want to be able to get with like girls like hotter than we've ever got with before. But like, the more, like, the deeper you get involved in it, you realise that, fucking hell, man, it's actually changing my entire life as well. So results are one thing, but it's like that sense of fulfilment of feeling like I'm actually on an adventure right now, and there's so much spontaneity, there's so many unexpected twists and turns. That's worth more than a few swipes. So
and also
it's that full-bodied existence what it creates for you.
100%, and also you want to feel like you've earned it. You know, for me, I like a bit of a chase. You know, I don't want it just to be like, imagine like there was this super hot girl and you're just sat somewhere. She just comes up to you and she says, "Oh, do you want to come back to my place?" You just be a bit like, "No, I want to go. I want to at least work for this a little bit." You know, I don't want it just to be too easy. Because then I think, well, probably somewhere in Thailand or something. But if that did happen, hypothetically, I would still feel like, no, I want to go. I want to put in a little bit of work. I want to at least earn it a little bit. I want to. I want to have some kind of adventure that was, you know, done on my own accord rather than just handed to me on a plate, you know. Because I feel like, you know, the journey is just as important as the result, I think. You know, for me, that's part of the whole process. It's, you know, it's not just about the sex or getting together in bed. For me, it's the build up to that as well, which is just as important.
Yeah, no, I completely relate with that. Like, I often think of like the approaches that I've done like throughout this year, and the ones that kind of stand out the most, the ones that were like really audacious, the ones that really put me outside my comfort zone. Something that like a year ago I'd be like, oh, there's no fucking way I'd be doing that. So what I really like about this as well is like when you go like to a city, or maybe you return to a city, the streets are like littered with memories of like, you know, like, oh, I approached the girl there, or I got a blowout there, or I did like an instant date there. It just changes everything about your reality, and I think for the majority of people, they don't get to experience that, and it's just I don't know, it just changes stuff for you. It's hard to put into words really, but it's just nice.
It changes your reality, especially when you can like fully integrate it into your life. You just create all these like spontaneous random adventures, and it just makes life just far more interesting, doesn't it, when you just you integrate it into your life, and you never know like what's going to happen the next day or in a few days time. That's also cool, the excitement and the unpredictability.
So, like, where do you want to take it now then? Because obviously you've already done quite a lot in terms of you started it, you're doing it in this country, now you're traveling with it, you're coaching guys abroad. Like, where does it go from here then?
I haven't kind of thought about it too long term, but yeah, I want to continue doing this for the time being because I do really really enjoy it. I'm going to see how it goes. I'm probably not going to still be doing this when I'm like 50 or whatever, but like for now it's definitely good. I'm definitely enjoying it. I love doing this. I guess see what I can do in the future in terms of expanding it as a business, growing it as a business, and just carry on doing what I love to do really.
Yeah, no, that's fair, man. I think for me it's like I've always sort of wanted to have a platform to help people. I didn't really know how that was going to manifest myself. Didn't really see myself like doing this, but I've always had like an interest in creating content, especially the YouTube side of things. I really enjoy that, and it's nice when when you see like regular people like in your comment section, and it's like you feel like you've created a community of people. And have you been approached before on the street by guys? Been like,
not for Daygame, only for like pranks that I did back in the day. But not really for Daygame. Actually, or maybe like once or twice for Daygame, but not that much really. Because for me, I've spent most of the time in London. Obviously, London's much bigger, and also abroad. But so it's not that much really. What about you?
It's happened to me once in London, but predominantly in Manchester. Or in Leeds, and it's like you get in front stopped, and it's like, wow, this is actually how it feels. You've got some random bloke like pirouetting around you, and for a moment,
one guy actually front stopped you just to say hi.
I was like, right, that front stop, man. And another one came, and I was like, hey, man, it's like a tag team, it is. It's your win.
Maybe they had ulterior motives.
Yeah, I think so, man. I thought maybe I'm gonna get like pickpocketed or whatever. But no, it's nice if someone comes up to you off their own accord and be like, "I've seen your videos. They've actually really helped me." That's like currency in itself. It's like someone can book a session with you, but if someone says to you or someone sends you an email and is like, "I've watched one of your videos. It allowed me to do ... help me get a girlfriend, just change my life, just make me happy." That just feels nice, man.
That makes it all worth it, 100%.
Definitely. So, yeah, man. Long live the internet. Long live inspiring people. Cause it's just a nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, these days I spend quite a lot of time in Manchester. I've started putting out Manchester videos now, just because I felt like in the UK, especially, there wasn't that many videos outside of London, and kind of wanted to show people that even though people obviously do it outside of London, I think it's good to actually have video references there, because I think guys like to be reassured that it's still possible. So even if there's a video that they see from 2 days ago in Manchester, it's like it's comforting. It's like, oh, it still works. So I feel like it's good to consistently put the videos out, because it reassures guys that yes, it's fine, it's still possible. Life is good, but. Yeah, no, I like it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you can do it anywhere in the world, any public location, really. Obviously, okay, maybe not some countries like Saudi Arabia or something, but in the UK, Europe, America, some parts of Asia. Yeah, you can do it anywhere. But I think what you're saying, like when someone actually sees you doing it, there is that sense of security, I guess, reassurance. And even motivation as well, to go out there and do it. Yeah, because obviously traditionally Daygame, especially in the UK, was all centered around London, and not just London, even just like specific parts of London, like Oxford Street, Leicester Square, or
Right.
you know, the main Daygame hotspots. But actually, there's so many more places, even in London. There's so many places you can do it, and when you actually like fully integrate it into your life, where you're not just spending, however many days and hours per week on dedicated sessions, when you actually fully integrate it into your life, that's really, when it's when you can get really good results, I think. And yeah,
Yeah.
you can just do it anywhere, anytime, any place. When you're on some random street, anywhere, in some supermarket, you might need to tailor your approach a little bit depending on where you're at, but 100% it can still be done.
Yeah, there's nothing more natural than approaching a girl when you've got a Waitrose carrier bag in your hand. She just thinks, you know what, mate, this guy's just done his shopping, and
Yeah.
now he's talking to me. It's quite a good hack, that, actually, if you just
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Or if you're eating something,
Right.
half the time I've got like a sandwich in my hand and I'm just eating on my way somewhere. Or, the other day I had like 2 bags full of my shopping, and I approached this absolute stunner, and she was like looking me up and down, like commenting about my shopping and stuff. And it's good. It's just another thing to talk about in the interaction, isn't it? And just not giving a fuck. That's one thing that's so important. It's just not giving a fuck. Just going for it. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't matter if a bird shat on your face or something. Okay, that might matter a little bit, but just whatever circumstance you're in, you can still be done.
Yeah, I definitely find a big part of this process is learning to just let go. And it's easier said than done, but I think if you can actually integrate that and make that a practice, just to let go in like so many areas of your life, then you'll just be a better person for it. So I definitely think a lot of people get involved in this, and obviously we've all got our own baggage and sort of like things that we're bringing into it. But I think you really do realize that you are seducing yourself when it all comes down to it. And if you can learn to just let go and, like you say, just stop giving a fuck, because no one cares. Literally, no one
Yeah,
cares. No one cares about you. Like, people might look at you, but they're still thinking about themselves.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's like you just got to get on with it, don't you? Because it doesn't really matter.
Exactly. Yeah. That's one thing actually that prevents a lot of guys getting into it, is that they just think that, oh, once if people see me doing it, or
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I can't approach that girl because she's next to those guys, and then those guys are going to see me doing it. But no one cares. Like, no one gives a fuck. Taking it
Yeah.
too seriously, I think. Yes, yeah, and for some people, when you say no one cares, it's like they find that maybe a bit depressing, or a bit of a harsh truth. But
Nobody cares
but if
about
you can
me.
but you can reframe it in a positive way. You can reframe it in terms of, no one cares about you, no one cares about what you're doing, but that can be extremely liberating,
Yeah.
because it just means that you can do something like this, and there's not going to be any negative consequences, really.
So, like
That's
the guys who you work with and stuff, like, what do you find? Is there like a common theme which prevents them from? Because I assume guys come to you for coaching because they can't do it on their own, or it is because for me it's like guys will come to me and it's not a case of they can't do it on their own. They actually just want that accountability. They want someone who's actually going to push them, who's going to be in their ear on a weekly basis, being like, how many approaches have you done this week? Did you bail on yourself? Are you working on that? I find that's what guys actually want. It's that sense of accountability.
Yeah. Well, for me, the accountability factor is definitely part of it. But I try and instill like certain like principles with clients I work with. The most important being, I guess, self-discipline, because the worst is when someone comes to you, has an amazing session, and then at the end of it they're back to square one again when they can't go out and approach again because they don't have that person with them. So for me, I always try and make really work with guys so that they can be self-sufficient and not rely on having to have another person there to do the approaches. So that's one thing I have to spend quite a bit of time on. But yeah, I think a lot of guys, it's just about, at least from their perspective, it's about just being able to spontaneously approach by by themselves long term, But yeah, for a lot of guys, it's just being able to approach. So getting over the approach anxiety is kind of like the main thing for a lot of guys. And they come into these coaching sessions and they kind of tell me like, oh, if as long as I can just do some approaches, then I'll be happy. But from my point of view, I'm thinking, don't worry about that. That'll be the absolute fucking minimum we're going to do. We're going to do that plus a whole lot more. We're going to get you to more of an intermediate kind of level, at least.
Yeah, I think with all of this, it's momentum, being able, because momentum can be good or it can be bad. If you spend an hour walking around without speaking to anybody, you've accumulated a lot of shit momentum right there, and it's so difficult to break out of that. But the alternative is you go out your house and you just start speaking to people immediately. It doesn't have to be in a seductive way. You literally just be as social as possible. That momentum will carry over, and then I don't know, you're just more likely to get into that flow state. You've got less hesitation. You're more inclined to go into those more like difficult approaches because you're just on that social flow. I think that's key, man. Just getting that momentum, and it's just overcoming resistance. Like, yeah, you probably don't want to do it, but you'll thank yourself for breaking through that resistance. Otherwise, you're just walking around doing fuck all, and you'll feel shit about yourself.
100%. Yeah, I've had a lot of guys like tell me about that. Like, oh, I spent like 2 hours, walking around by myself and I couldn't do any approaches. A lot of it is just about kind of warming up and getting in. It's all about getting into and maintaining that state, that mind state where you're positive, you're sociable. And it's not just something like, oh, just do this thing and I'm going to be like up here forever. It's like, it's always like the up and down, up and down. And so sometimes you might need to warm up again, in the middle of a session or towards the end of a session. But if you've had a bit of a low point, and yeah, that's another thing that I work with clients on, is just getting to that point again, so that they can understand about I guess how they kind of relate to it, because everyone's different. Like some people, they don't need to do that really. Once they've done it the first time, they're good for a good period of time, whereas others, they constantly need to do that because the anxiety, it for them is a bit more severe, and it's always creeping up on them. So yeah, for everyone's different, and everyone needs like a tailored approach, I think, when it comes to this. But in general, yeah, it's about kind of trying to maintain that social state, warming up again, taking like baby steps to get back up there again.
So how long have you been doing it for now?
Daygame or coaching?
Daygame, yeah.
Daygame since about 2014, around that sort of time. So for about 6.
So like for you, like how much is like the Daygame landscape changed since you got involved?
That's a really good question, actually. For me, okay, so like when I first started out, that was kind of like around about the peak of the Daygame scene in London, you could say, or maybe slightly after. But yeah, I mean, when I started out doing that, I didn't really notice it. Like, I didn't notice the fact that it was very popular back then in London. So like, I'd never had any issue with any girl getting approached before or anything like that. I guess kind of like back then, I was having really shit interactions. I'd have like a 1-minute interaction with a girl, just very, very basic conversation, almost kind of like an open and then close, just like that. But I found that, yeah, I think like Daygame was slightly more powerful back then. I think maybe you could make some argument that Daygame is a little bit more difficult now because of stuff like Instagram and the fact that girls are getting a lot of validation through things like Instagram, which has obviously seen a massive rise the past few years. But yeah, I'm not too sure. What do you think?
It's interesting for me because, like, obviously I've only been doing this for 1 year.
Okay, yeah.
But like, I think, like, obviously our perspectives are interesting because you've seen more of like the changes and stuff. But like, I got involved in this. I didn't know anything about anything, and I just kind of kept myself to myself. Didn't really sort of like integrate with any other people who were doing it. For me though, it was like because you mentioned about like how you used to have like very short interactions and it was just like open and close. But for me, that's all really Daygame is. It's all you're doing is open and closing. Like, obviously, the middle's there to create that investment, but it's like the more you open, the more you close. And for me, anyway, these days, my interactions actually don't last that long. Like if I have a 4-minute interaction, I'm thinking, fucking hell, man, I'm feeling a bit fatigued after that. Like. I find that I can create a lot of investment very quickly. And I think for the cities that I do this in, especially the northern cities, because approaching a girl during the day sober is such a novelty, you don't actually need to have a lot of conversation to make things happen. Like that, as long as you go in with positive energy, a smile on your face, good intentions, leaving girls better than you found them, you'll be pleasantly surprised how receptive girls are and how easy it actually is to make things happen. I don't know, I feel like there is like a longer interaction is a better interaction. And I know guys who have like 20-minute interactions and get nowhere. It's the reason that I actually don't like instant dates. Because I feel like you take a girl on an instant date, like it's good for YouTube. Guys seem to like it. But for me, you lose a bit of that mystery if you've spent like an hour with a girl and then you're going to plan like another date with her rather than taking her back. Don't know what it is. I find it all a bit boring and I'm just not that arsed by instant dates. So each to their own. But for me, I actually prefer the shorter interactions. But that's...
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I rarely have time for an instant date anyway, because it's like I've already got plans. Because especially when you're like integrate it into your life or when you're out filming and stuff, it's like, you know, I haven't really planned for this, therefore I'm not going to just change my plans just for the sake of the girl or for the sake of solidifying a number or whatever. You know, that's I always tell guys that, you know, it's important to live your life on your own terms. Don't always just kind of like rearrange everything just for the sake of the girl or whatever. You know, that's just not being you know, that's just you know, don't pander to other people. Do what you want to do, I guess. But
I find the instant date always felt like this mythical experience. Like for me anyway, when I got instant, I was like, "Whoa, you can take a girl on a date instantly? That's crazy." And I did it a couple times.
I think that's the main appeal, really. That's kind of like the main appeal for a lot of guys watching on YouTube. It's like, holy shit, you can go on a date with a girl within like 5 minutes or whatever. It's like, but really, in terms of, you know, actual utility, you know, is it actually the best thing to do? I mean, obviously, the main disadvantage of instant dates is that for someone who is doing a session, if you are going on an instant date with a girl for like 20 minutes, half an hour or something, you know, that's time that you could have spent meeting other girls, getting other numbers. And don't forget that girls who do go on instant dates with you can still flake. It's not like, oh, she agreed to go on an instant date, oh, she wants to sleep with me. It doesn't work like that.
She just wanted the free mocha chocochino, mate.
That happens as well. Exactly. That can happen as well. That can genuinely be the case.
Yeah, it's one of those, man. But I think if you are going to do an instant date, do it at the end of your session rather than the start. Because if you do it at the start, you've only spoke to one girl, that's your session gone. But if you do want to go for it, do it at the end. Give yourself, you know, a little celebration. Go on an instant date if you want to. But yeah, like you say, just erases all your fucking time, doesn't it? But anyway, I just fucking hate instant dates, so there you go.
Yeah.
But how long have you been talking for?
Don't know, about saying here like 45 minutes, I think. Yeah.
Time flies. You got anything else you want to chat about?
I think just on that earlier point about how Daygame has changed over the years. I think like with the rise of like social media and stuff like Instagram, I feel like girls are more they're kind of like flooded with more validation these days than they were in the past. I feel like in the past, if a guy didn't actually approach them or hit on them, whether it's, you know, Daygame or out on the street or in a club or even in the workplace, whatever it was, you know, girls wouldn't really get any kind of male attention or validation, whereas now it's completely in abundance. And I think that's changed, not necessarily like Daygame has pretty much remained the same in general, but it has changed like the dating landscape, I feel like, just dating in general, because obviously, you know, Daygame, I always think that, Daygame is just one like avenue of dating. It's not like a completely separate thing. Ultimately, it is still dating. But obviously, by doing Daygame, it does elevate you slightly higher than just sliding into a girl's DMs or on Tinder or whatever it is.
I think that's the key point, though, because even though the sexual marketplace has been globalized and girls can get more attention than ever before, it's like you do set yourself apart, because even if she is getting 100 DMs, none of these guys are actually approaching her, and it's like you then get to take away that victory as well.
Yeah.
And it's like you were saying before about the chase, actually feel like you've earned it. Even if you are sliding into girls' DMs, it still doesn't make you feel fucking great about yourself. So I think that'll always be the main motivator for doing this. It's difficult, so therefore you do it, and that's what makes you feel good.
Yeah, and the girl will respect you for actually coming up and actually speaking to her, because she knows she's got loads of options, and she's experiencing all these guys trying to get with her, on Tinder, DMs, social circle. She knows that it takes a lot of balls to come up to her and just express yourself like that. So she will inherently have some more respect for you than otherwise. But yeah, I've always thought, like, say for example, if you look back to the 90s, for example, if a girl didn't get approached by a guy, she just wouldn't get any male attention at all. She would get no validation, and obviously validation is important to a lot of girls in general, as a generalization. Whereas now it's just there's validation in abundance. Even a not so attractive girl will be getting shitloads of validation from loads of guys on Instagram or any other kind of social media. And I think that's kind of the main thing that's changed over the years, more so than anything else. Because, back in the day, if a girl wanted to get into, or like, for example, unless she was actually dating, she wouldn't really get any validation at all. Unless she was actively, on the dating market, actually dating guys, she wouldn't really be getting any validation.
So how do you think it will change in like the next, say, like 10 years or so? Do you reckon it'll be a case of social media continues to rise on the ascendancy? Do you think Daygame will always have a place in the modern era, or do you think it'll get swept out by
by feminism?
Yeah, by feminism and like another rise of social media and stuff. Like, how relevant do you see it being in the future?
I think there will always be a place, as long as humans are congregating in public. There will always be a place for Daygame, I think. I think more and more so we're kind of living virtual lives, and especially with lockdown and the whole COVID thing, people were kind of stuck indoors, and everything was happening virtually, and so unless we live in some weird kind of future dystopia where like everyone's living in like these little enclosed bubbles at home or something, and no one's actually stepping outside to do anything in public, then Daygame will always have a place, I think. So yeah, I don't think there's anything to worry about in terms of that. However, I think like social media is just going to keep growing and growing, and there's always going to be like, the next kind of Tinder is just around the corner. There's probably going to be some dating thing that's going to get invented through VR or some crap, and then it's gonna be like another version of Tinder, and it's just the virtual space is going to grow, but it is going to be I guess much shitter than meeting in real life.
Do you know Facebook now do dating?
It's
actually tragic. My mate showed me it the other day. I was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "I'm on Facebook dating," and I was like, Jesus Christ, man! Is this what the world I think it's just like they've got a dating section on their it's like Facebook Marketplace, but like Facebook sexual marketplace. Basically, it's like the same like swiping system and stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was thinking, is this what the world has come to? Like Mark Zuckerberg has decided that he's going to have a swipey Tinder system on Facebook, and it was just tragic, man. But yeah, I do think as we progress into the future, I feel like, especially with like the new generation of people coming through, you've got like obviously TikTok and stuff now. I feel like just social interaction in general will become more of a rarity. I feel like the art of conversation will slowly die, but I feel like the people who want to learn this stuff will be in that top 1% because people just don't know how to have conversations anymore.
Yeah, and I think like social skills and charisma when you're actually speaking to someone will always be an attractive trait for a guy to have. That's never going to change. And as you're saying, as social skills deteriorate with the advancement of technology, I think that that doing stuff like face-to-face interaction, cold approaching, that all of that stuff, it's always gonna have its place, and it's always gonna set people apart in a more positive way. I would say 100%. In spite of like technology changing and people living more virtual lives. Yeah.
All right, I've got like one more thing that I want to ask you, and then we can conclude and stuff. But obviously for you, because I mean you've been doing this for a long time, you've been coaching for a long time, and you work with a lot of guys from different areas of the world and stuff. Like for you, what do you think is like the main thing that actually holds people back from not just like doing this, but from like sticking with it?
I think it's a mindset. I say it's two things actually. I think it's partly it's a mindset. So the first thing is lack of motivation. Okay, and I'd say the second thing is fear. Yeah. So it's those two things. It's fear and it's this kind of like reliance on motivation. So fear, these are two kind of separate things that you need to kind of tackle like separately, I think. So like with fear, it's a case of gradually exposing yourself to approaching girls and doing the whole day game stuff. But I think the way I work is a very kind of step by step, incremental, small steps at a time way of doing it. So that can eventually get you past the fear stage, but then it's also important to carry on doing that when you're by yourself, when you're not with another person. So that's one aspect to it. And then and then the other thing is motivation, because it's important to actually internalize this whole thing and being able to do it like self-sufficiently without relying on someone. For that, I always talk about self-discipline rather than motivation. So, having that mindset where it's like, even though I'm not in the mood, even though I really don't feel like doing this, fuck it, I'm just going to do it anyway. Just saying, fuck it, let go, doing it anyway, don't care. Rather than like waking up one day and be like, oh, fuck, I'm really not motivated today. I really don't feel like doing it. So therefore, fuck it, I won't do it. No, just fuck it, do it anyway. And when you do it, when you actually take action, that's when you will start feeling more motivated inherently as a result of taking action. So action always precedes motivation.
And then you just get into that, or you ride on that wave of momentum then, don't you? And then that spills over into so many aspects of your life. Whenever you feel resistance in your life, maybe you don't want to go to that job interview, maybe you don't want to jump in the cold shower, maybe you don't want to go to the gym, you use those moments as your reference experience. It's like, come on, man, we approached like 5 girls yesterday, we didn't want to do that. I actually think it rewires your brain in some way. When you do things that you don't want to do, I think it definitely reshapes like the makeup of your psyche. And I just think you're just a transformed person for doing it. So yeah, breaking through that resistance is just fucking key, isn't it?
And like you say, it trickles over into other areas. If you can like get through it with the day game stuff, it's going to trickle over into other areas in terms of getting you more disciplined with other areas of life, work life, social life, anything like any activity you want to do, whether like you said, the gym, whatever it is. Because it's actually I always make comparisons between like day game and sales because it's very similar in terms of like rejections and all that stuff. But actually, compare it to like a gym or like running on a treadmill. It's very similar as well, isn't it? You even get personal trainers for that stuff as well, who deal with the accountability. And I guess the technical stuff as well to some extent, but really a lot of it is, personal trainers mainly exist for motivation and accountability. And so there's definitely, parallels there. But, the way I look at it is that okay, accountability is one thing, but really it's got to be self-motivation. It's got to be self-discipline rather than an external source of motivation, because that's not sustainable long term. So that's why, you know, if you're a person who relies on a personal trainer to go to the gym, that's not really sustainable. It's got to come from within, and it's just one of those things where it's like, fuck it, okay, every fucking Tuesday I'm going to the gym. I don't give a fuck, I'm doing it. And this is a rule that I'm setting for myself, and I have to fucking do it, unless there's a really good reason not to, like I'm on holiday or I'm in a hospital or something.
Yeah, I think, you know, setting that intention is powerful. And I think just surrounding yourself with like-minded people is just great as well. It don't even have to be people that you pay for the services, but it's like if you actually spend time around people who are on the same wave as you, then that benefits your life in so many ways as well, because it kind of gives you that level of accountability, but it just gives you that sense of like community and permission as well. So I find that's a big thing with guys. It's like just to like see other guys doing it, like you might see the YouTube videos, whatever, it blesses you with that permission. It shows you that it's all right to do it, that you can do it as well. And I think guys like that. Guys like to know that, yeah, it's fine to do it. He's doing it. I can do it. So yeah, that sense of permission, being able to give yourself that permission is key. But yeah, man, that's insightful stuff. I've actually learned a lot from this conversation, which has been nice. So thanks.
Yeah, same. It's been good. Yeah.
Is there any closing thoughts?
Not really. I could probably just bang on about loads of stuff for like hours and hours, but yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, overall, yeah, I mean, from you, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've had quite a short journey, but a very kind of productive one, seeing as, you know, you've got to where you are right now in a pretty short space of time. So yeah, I think, yeah, it's really good, and yeah, you've got a lot of good thoughts and insights and stuff. So yeah, it's all good.
Good. Yeah, same to you as well, man. I like to this is like the first sort of proper chat I've had with someone who's been doing it, especially in the UK as well. And obviously you've been doing it for a lot longer than me, so you've obviously just you've accumulated more experiences and stuff. So it's good to soak up like the knowledge from people who've like been here like longer, and it can only be beneficial. So yeah, I feel like this conversation will actually help a lot of people as well. So
yeah, nice. For sure. Cool. All right. Cool. What's your plans for later then?
Well, I'm actually recovering from an illness that I picked up. I had to get like a COVID test. Didn't have COVID,
really?
which was nice. But I've just been like ill for the past week. But then I went to Cardiff and Bristol at the weekend, and like made myself more ill just from like just having a good time in Cardiff and Bristol, basically. However, I actually really rate Bristol as a city. I'd never been there before. It's actually great.
Just as a city. Or
as a city for its Daygame potential. I could see myself living in Bristol actually. Just had a lot going on, so I'll probably return there.
Yeah, I had a session there actually like a few months ago.
All right.
It seems nice there. I didn't see that many hot girls, but yeah, it's okay. It's all right. I think it's there's definitely potential. I think as a city, it's quite nice. It's got a decent vibe. Yeah, it's pretty solid, I'd say.
Yeah, we went around, I think it's called Cabot Circus, and it was fucking hot, and there was a lot of quality on display. So yeah, go when the sun's out, man. You'll get rewarded for it.
Yeah, cool. All right, yeah, man, cool. Yeah, it's been good. I guess, yeah, like we could do this again sometime if you want. Yeah, and
how long are you in Ukraine for?
I'm gonna be here. I'm probably gonna be back in London like around October time, or later in September. So yeah, I'll be back in London for a bit. I'm not sure how long I'll stay. I'll probably bugger off somewhere else again. I'm not sure though. See how it goes.
Yeah, no, definitely we can make one of these again. I feel like at some point we should make like a collaboration video doing like approaches and stuff and like providing advice like interweaved in like the interlude section. I feel that would actually be a good video because I don't really see that
for
many
sure.
Well, you know.
Yeah, we could do like some kind of like approach thing or something. Maybe I'll go up to Grimsby or something and then
Yeah, we'll do that
like
tour, man. We'll do that
there's a
tour
little
we
town.
mentioned.
Yeah.
The Grimsby tour, man. So yeah, as long as we keep our wits about us, just don't be doing too many pranks in Grimsby, because they probably won't take it too well. They'll probably like decapitate you. But
Depends what. Even approaching a girl might be seen as a prank over there.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know.
I'm not sure if there actually are girls in Grimsby, to be honest, man. But we'll have to find out.
Yeah. Probably a lot of men and animals, and I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out, man. I'll send you a postcard, and we'll take it from there. But no, we'll keep in touch, man, and we'll just get something sorted. Nice one. All right. Well, yeah. Au revoir.
Cool, man.
I hope you enjoy your time in Ukraine, man. You have to
Cheers,
bring me back some sentimental piece, some like ceramic.
A Ukrainian bride. I'll bring one for you.
Yeah, get her through customs.
A girl who's looking for a British visa.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Make sure she's got a ceramic mug. That's all I want. I don't care about her. I'll just send her up. I'll send her Grimsby, and then I'll keep the mug. But nice one. Appreciate that.
Cool,
and yeah, enjoy your time, man.
Cheers, man. You too. See you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Cheers for watching. If you'd be interested in one-to-one coaching with me, where we'll go out in public and work on your approaching girls, or more generally with your social confidence, please visit my website ed-game.com.